All right, quick video here on how to insulate one of these outdoor waterers. This handle broke off, so I ended up cobbling that back together. I just welded the handle straight up so it wouldn't break off anymore, and got that all cleaned up. And then I put a piece of this 2-inch blue tape around the bottom of it to keep the glue from getting sprayed on there. And then I got some 847 spray adhesive. I lightly sprayed the metal, and then I sprayed the material here. This material came from like something you get from Walmart or on Amazon or whatever. You order a wooden thing to put together. So it's basically just waste that I'm turning into insulation. I may do a second layer on here, depending on how I feel. But I did have a little bit of trouble with this because this is so tall. It was freezing up just a little bit this winter. So I decided to go ahead and fix that. So I just put it over the end of a board here so that I could rotate it while I was working. Stuck the piece of insulation on there, lined it up with the tape, and just slowly rolled it. This has got enough flexibility in it that I was able to actually manipulate it, and because this is a cone shape, I was able to actually manipulate it as I was bringing it around. Once I got these two lined up, I just took a razor knife and gently cut through here in line with where the other one matched up at. And so now I may do spray the top here and do a fold on the end. The top's probably not going to be as critical because that does trap a pocket of air in there. So I'm going to take a look at it here and see what I decide. So I sprayed a light coat of the 847 adhesive on the inside here. So I got that all ready to go. So then I'm going to cut fins on there to fold down to match the shape at the top of this. And then a lot of these glues do not work on just any kind of foam insulation, so you want to test that before you try it to make sure it doesn't eat through it. So for getting the top to fall in line here, I'm just I cut this at a slight angle on the edge here, and then I'm just working my way around, basically just cutting this into little wedges here, taking this back off, and then overlap this, and then cut this off straight with that line, and then continue that pattern all the way around. Okay, thanks to movie magic, we are done with that. Normally you get better as you go along. I got worse, so hopefully you can do a much cleaner job than I did, but hey, I'm in a hurry. So I'm gonna go ahead and put an extra layer on top of this just because I have the material. So I'm gonna overlap this seam, and we'll see how that turns out. Okay, now my drum has got some adhesive on it. It's ready to go. Got some adhesive on here. I don't want to spray it on too thick where it's like wet and dripping. It just needs to have some glue on it so it adheres. And then I'm going to go over the top of the whole thing, because for some reason chickens like to eat insulation. I don't know what it is about them, but they love that stuff, so I can't just leave this insulation exposed. I'm gonna have to protect it with something. All right, I lined up my edges again and just kept turning it as I was going. You're gonna have a little bit of puckers going on here, but the glue will hold that down. I'm kind of amazed how much flexibility this stuff has. And then here's where the two pieces are coming together. So I'm gonna push these down to where they line up, and then I'm going to take a razor knife and very gently cut along there. So I've cut along the line there. Now I'm just going to use my fingers to kind of push these two back together, bring these seams together. Anybody who's put carpet in is basically doing the same thing. All right. So now we got a nice seam there, and we still got the overlap on the top, so I may do a second layer there. We'll see. So I divided it into quarters this time, basically starting here, did the opposite, and then in each center on each side, and then filled in the middle pieces, and that seemed to work pretty good for keeping everything nice and clean. Now I've cut the fabric off of an old lawn chair, off of the seat, cut a little slit in it for the top, Stretch that over the top. This I sprayed with bed liner, and then I also sprayed it with the adhesive again. Sprayed the underside of this material with the adhesive, waiting for that to tack up, and then I'm going to wrap that with that because the chickens will tear everything up. So I'm hoping this cloth will prevent them from pecking through and tearing the insulation off of there. Okay, I somehow managed to get the fabric wrapped around there. You want to make sure if you're wrapping the fabric, you want to do it by yourself, so that that way you don't have anybody else to blame if you get a little bit crooked. And you don't want it to be perfect. If it's perfect, then that leads to pride, and well, pride comes before the fall. So I'm gonna try to avoid that. So I sprayed a little bit of glue around this top edge here. Still kind of waiting for that to dry up. I got a little help from my handy dandy heat gun, and hopefully I can soften some of this material up here and get it to bend around the corner. We'll see how we do. So it turns out the heat gun did a phenomenal job of shrinking this so it went around the top here evenly. And I was even able to get all the wrinkles out. So that's another advantage of doing things all by yourself, is when you nail it, you get to take all the credit. And this is the other half of the unit. It's got a little plunger down here that when you put the lid on, it lets the water into the surrounding area. This thing creates a vacuum over the top, which keeps the water from running out, and it just slides down over the top like that. So we got a nice insulated chicken water, and I may put some fiberglass resin over the top of that if that doesn't look like that's going to hold, but it's a little cold for doing that today. And here's the pan I got for keeping the water from freezing, but I did have a little bit of freezing once it got down to like 4 or 5 below zero. This would freeze up around the edges here. There was still some liquid water in there. I could break it out, and then it was frozen a little bit inside of this container, especially at the top, so it made it difficult to separate it. And so I'm going to try to see if this will keep it from freezing in really cold temperatures. If we get any more this year, I'll let you know.